So Wednesday, January 13. What a remarkably uneventful hour for such a historic day in American political history when the House of Representatives is about to impeach the sitting president of the United States for the second time. And this was a little bit of a dull show, but Meghan, the hair was okay. It was a variation on a theme from yesterday with the little sides and the pulled back. And so you're doing there, but I don't know what with the jewel toned sort of mesh. It was like, what one of the Golden Girls would wear if they were going out of town with the girls, like I think maybe your closet is inspired by Rosen Island. Maybe that's what it is. We'll have to go do some research on that, but maybe that's your style icon. I don't know. So we had quite a moment of clarity there, and an odd moment of humility from you, Meghan, when you said that maybe, just maybe, you don't have quite the grasp of the heartbeat of the Republican populace that you thought you did. Because there was a study that was done, or a poll came out. And these are your favorite things. This segment's great because you got to quote a poll, and then you got to use examples from your friends. And first of all, I'm not a big fan of polls. I'd like a little more understanding of how the poll was conducted, who these people are, who's answering these questions? I know I haven't been part of any kind of poll taking in at least a decade. So I don't know how they're reaching people to get these answers. But so I have a hard time believing in whatever their polling data says empirically. And then, you always like to talk about, when you talk about your circle of friends and whatever. And, if you're wondering why you don't have your finger on the pulse of the Republican Party, because I doubt that your friend circle that you're talking to is representative of the entire populace, and, the vast swath of demographics that make up the GOP. So, it's just part of you keeping yourself in your bubble. I don't know how much time you spend in the flyover states that are so red. But anyway, I know you talk a lot about your family, but a lot of them seem to be turning Democrat, I think. Anyway, so you cited some poll that said 40% of Republicans want Donald Trump to become president again in 2024. And you found that flabbergasting, which is a surprise to me, because have you not paid attention to how strong that cult is? And that cult is that strong for that candidate because of the giant misinformation that has been thrown at them. Fabricated lies, just complete, utter lies to this group of people, and they've eaten it all up. And you say that that's a surprise to you, and that you might not fully have a grasp on what the general GOP is talking about. And yet, I think it was yesterday, you considered yourself an avatar for so many conservatives. So I'm sure that was a big blow to you. And then you went on a soliloquy about the terrorist attack at the Capitol, and going through examples from your friends again, about what they went through. Of course, having to make it personal to you that this attack was about you, and it was your friends and your family members that could have been killed, and that's that's outrageous. It was outrageous, but it's not because of that. You don't need to include those little anecdotes um, every time you have one. And you mentioned your husband, Ben, you have mutual friends that were in the Capitol at the time. And since you've mentioned him, I'll take the opportunity to ask, do you know what he does for a living? Have you read the publication that he started? Because if you want to talk about something that's divisive and something that fuels the flame of uh, GOP voter miseducation, it's in your house. There's like, I don't know how you reconcile what he does with your newfound indignation of the GOP. So that must be interesting dinner time conversation for you two. But yeah, so we've got an impeachment vote going on today, and you talked about this fraction in the GOP, that there's the Trumpians and the regular conservatives. And what does that mean for the party? Well, it's very clear that the smart Republicans are distancing themselves from Trump, and and getting on the bus to impeach and remove, so that he is not, and then convicted so that he is not allowed to run again, for several reasons. They don't want his shadow hanging over whatever their political ambitions are in the future. But he's of no use to them after he's no longer president. They don't want the stink of this terrorist act and his insurrection on their political records. They have to own the fact that they've fueled this fire for 4 years and have gotten off the ship at the last possible second. But and they have to own that forever. And you're right, by the way, from yesterday, Jared and Ivanka should never be allowed back in public polite society again. But so the smart ones are going to basically treat him like he would treat anybody else, and just pretend they never met him. Be like, who, what, Donald, huh? No, 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 never met the man. Must have been a low-level staffer. Yeah, I don't. Inconsequential. So they'll distance themselves as much as they possibly can. The rest of the Nimrods, the Getzes and Nunez's and Jim Jordan's and Ted Cruz's, they're all just going to be standing there with their dicks in their hand, because the Trump maggots care about Trump. They love him as their leader. The only thing that they appreciate about those jackasses is that they are in service to Trump. When he goes to prison, or is somehow, removed from the figurehead of these groups, they aren't going to all magically follow that group of morons. And which one of them becomes the head? They need a figurehead. So all of that whole swath of maggots and their white nationalism, and complete white supremacy and just bullshit stupidity and anger will be fractioned off all over the place, and we'll just have all of these little terrorist cells all over the country trying to figure out how to deal with them, because we won't have anyone of any authority telling them that they're being lied to. Nobody's going to tell them the truth. They'll consider anybody who in the GOP who does tell them the truth a traitor. So this is going to take a while to unwind, and it's not going to be pretty. And it is trouble for the GOP, Meghan. So best of luck to you. That's not going to go well. Yeah, and so we've got this impeachment vote where I doubt that any Republican who speaks will actually say that the president did not incite terrorist insurrection against our government at the Capitol last week. They will talk about, we need to come to unity. The Democrats are just being vengeful. They're not actually going to address the article of impeachment that's on the table. But it looks pretty clear that he's going to be impeached a second time today. We'll see what happens in the Senate, and we look forward to your reactions tomorrow, assuming that the votes finalize today. Okay. And maybe we'll do a little research on the Golden Girls in the meantime. Toodaloo.